There's plenty to go around. So this is just a warning to you Trumpers. Be careful. Walk lightly. We ain't playing with you. Enough is enough. And for those of you who are soldiers, you know how to do it. Do it right.
To the building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard.
I am sitting here, listening, watching, absorbing, thinking about Ali, even though I never met him. And with this kind of inspiration, I will go and take Trump out tonight.
Press always asks me, don't I wish I were debating him? No, I wish we were in high school, I could take him behind the gym. That's what I wish.
I didn't make a mistake, but they asked me would I like to debate this gentleman. And I said no. I said if we were in high school, I'd take you behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
In that cabinet, in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, and you tell them they're not welcome.
Please get up in the face of some Congress people.
You cannot be civil with a political party that wants to destroy what you stand for, what you care about.
When they go low, you kick them.
You have to be ready to take a punch, and you have to be ready to throw a punch.
Hold them accountable.
Well,
Make the phone call, send the email, show up. You know, there needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives. And unfortunately, there's plenty to go around. So this is just a warning to you Trumpers. Be careful. Walk lightly. We ain't playing with you. Enough is enough. And for those of you who are soldiers, you know how to do it. Do it right. Be in order. Make them pay.
I'm afraid to do images that make noise.
Trump needs to be medicated and hospitalized.
To Shakespeare's play, Julius Caesar, like you've never seen before. A man dressed to look like President Donald Trump gets stabbed to death on stage.
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're going to stop before Election Day in November, and they're not going to stop after Election Day. And that should be, everyone should take note of that on both levels, that this isn't, they're not going to let up. And
Pitchforks and torches outside this man's house in the Hamptons. I've been to the Hamptons. It's very nice. There's no reason why it has to be. There's no reason why he should have his right that she to be having a own party. Right? No, I want people. There's no reason why people shouldn't be able to be outside of his house and making their
Yes, I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
If they give us what we want, then we will burn down this system and replace it.
Miss Kathy, you wanted to say me? Yes, Miss Faye, come on in and have a seat. Oh, okay. What's going on?
Interesting. Very interesting. Guys, what do you think about that?
Yes, the hypocrisy is just staggering between the Democrats and what they're accusing President Trump of. After 4 years of vile rhetoric trying to divide the American people, and we still see it going into Joe Biden's term, they're completely projecting all of their own issues onto President Trump once again.
Yep. What can I say? Talk about violence, insurrection. There you have it right there in full color. I chose not to go with an opening statement. I wanted their own words. To see their own words, to see them at their best. For quite some time, that the president incited violence. The president did that. Donald John Trump. They'd even gone as far as to cook up some fake impeachment, another impeachment. Why? There is no there, just like there was no there back in 2020. They impeached the president and tried to remove him from office. Now he's out of office and they're still at it, and they want you to think that what they're doing is legitimate, it's constitutional, and that it's okay. It isn't okay. It isn't constitutional. And why people aren't pushing back, why the media isn't explaining this to you, the media whom we all look up to, the media who's in the Constitution, supposed to be checks to check to make certain that politicians are doing what they're supposed to do, why they aren't coming out and saying, folks, there's no there. You know why they're not? Because it's personal now. They're hoping that you're not thinking for yourself. And a lot of people aren't. They're taking sides. That's right. Let's do it. Who cares if he's not in office? He incited the violence and he did this and he did that. Well, what was Maxine Waters doing on the tape that I just played? What was Kamala Harris saying? What was Attorney General Holder saying? Nancy Pelosi? What was Madonna saying? Blowing up the White House? Did they get a visit from the Secret Service or from the FBI or the CIA? Did they even get a visit from the police department? And mind you, that went on from 2016 up until actually, it's going on right now in Seattle and Portland. Talk about inciting violence. Talk about people going out and causing harm. The damages that was inflicted upon the country this summer, billions of dollars. Quiet as is kept. We're told, don't look here. There's nothing to see. We've got to impeach the president, although he's out of office. It's a sham. And then Patrick Leahy, he's going to preside over the proceedings, a partisan hack. Not only a partisan hack, but the Chief Justice said, Roberts, I don't want to participate in this because he's not the president. Now, he should have been a little more sterner with his words and said, I don't want to do this because this isn't constitutional. What you guys are doing right now is
they always stop short. They always stop short of having an opinion. I mean, we basically have a Supreme Court that's throttled themselves. They don't say anything. They make, some decisions, but they don't talk about the decisions. I mean, Roberts, it's got to tell you something when the Chief Justice doesn't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you've got to read between the lines. I mean, there's no way that they're going to impeach ex-President Trump, former President Trump. There's no way. It's all a show. To bury him and to keep. Now what are we going to do if we say, well, we think the impeachment's a sham? What are we going to get? We're going to get throttled again. We're already have no free speech.
Yep.
So the only free speech is what's their free speech? What kind of country has this become?
Mm-hmm.
My father, God rest his soul, was a POW in Germany at the end of the war, in like 7 different countries. And he would be rolling in his grave if he saw what is actually going on in our country. And, Rob, you asked me to, take a look at that poem I wrote called Patriot.
Yes.
It has been ground into the ground to be a patriot, to be called a patriot, to say you're a patriot. I mean, I think to me, it started with the player protest in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
For a lot of people, that really got us. And it just escalated into the flag, to military, to we saw the riots all over this summer and everything. I mean, you could look at it and it's been disgusting. And we have just had no relief at all. And now they're at it again. And we're censored on top of it.
Mm-hmm. Robin, Oops, sorry, Ray, go ahead.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, Rob and I talked about this the other day also, that seems like social media is trying to make the divide be that either you're a socialist progressive like an AOC or Omar, or you're like a Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer style Democrat. They're just trying to completely eliminate anything to the right of those two options. And the kids growing up are being completely brainwashed, thinking that you've either got to be a socialist, or if you're to the right of that at all, you're a Nancy Pelosi Democrat. They're just censoring anyone that has an opinion that is of any to the right at all, and calling us Nazis and extremists and all this stuff, just to make us sound like horrible people. It's just really scary.
Right, and it's dangerous. Like you said, they're trying to frame it as if though we're bad, everything that we're saying is bad. You can't hire anyone out of the Trump administration because they were all bad people. They did bad things. And I'm like, name one thing that they did bad, and then I will name you 20 things that they got right.
Just one thing, right? Just
one thing. And you know what they'll say? They'll say, oh, well, he was a racist. Okay, tell me, how is he a racist? Because he said this about Mexicans. No, he didn't. He said some of them. And you want to know what? He got a large percentage of the Hispanic vote. So what else did he do? Oh, well, he said blacks. Well, let's see. He did the Second Chance Act for black people. So what else? You know what it is? It's the dangerous white liberals that are out there trying to spin this stuff every time to make themselves feel good. Why is it Biden is going to come out today with this equality, race equality program? Okay, why is he doing it now? Obama was president for 8 long years. Where was the equality there? They were out of sight and out of mind. Barack Obama did not care. So now he wants to try to prop it up again with Joe Biden. Well, I've got news for all the black people out there that voted for Joe Biden. He's going to let in all those illegal aliens. And once he lets them in, they'll populate the Democrat Party, and then your vote will have been diluted. Your thoughts of getting reparations out the window. So you tell me now why you voted for him. You tell me now about the lies that you say, oh, Trump told lies, Trump told this, and Trump told that. They're like parrots repeating what CNN and MSNBC, the New York Times, and Washington Post has told them. They can't think for themselves, because if they do, they'll say the same old rhetoric that they've been saying every time a Republican comes to office. The only difference is that this Republican, Donald John Trump, came in and he made significant changes that Barack should have made. But Trump was a patriot. Ray, are you ready for your poem to read, Patriot?
I do. Let me find the page.
It's just unbelievable. Go ahead.
Again, I wrote this because I saw that there was so much downward pressure on anybody to stand up. And it's continued, because I wrote this, I don't know, over 3.5 years ago. It's called Patriot. It's hard to be a patriot and stand up for your flag, to put your hand upon your heart when others think it's sad. It's hard to be a patriot, to feel that unity, to know that call for freedom to some a travesty. It's hard to be a patriot, to know that love of home, to love that hallowed piece of ground while others throw a stone. The causes will confuse us, so trust what's in your heart. The answer stretches everyone when seams get pulled apart. The meaning of a patriot will stand the test of time. Every human, everywhere, will struggle to define. So draw your own conclusion. Wrangle with the thought. It's time we all address the word for the meaning we have sought. To call yourself a patriot is not a dirty word. To believe it might be otherwise is clearly quite absurd.
Powerful. And why the left wants to poo-poo on people wanting to be patriots is unbeknownst to me. Every other country you can be proud to be from: China, Japan, Israel, Saudi Arabia.
You know what? I have enjoyed international soccer.
American. You can't say that you are a patriot.
I have enjoyed international soccer most of my life, starting when I went to see Pele at Yankee Stadium for a soccer game. the nationalism and the love of country, not just our country, but other countries. But yet, when it comes to our own women's national team, who I adored them. I adored them in '99 when Brandy Chastain took off her shirt, you know. To me, that was equality. Okay, and yeah, maybe she got a yellow card, whatever. But then the crop of women they have today not standing for the national anthem is just like pro football. But if it were another country, you watch any beginning of any international match, they play the national anthem from each country, and all you see is tears coming from their eyes. Other countries would never think of disrespecting their flag and their country. It's a source of pride. But I don't see the pride here in America. They've doused our pride. They've made us be ashamed. And the children, I mean, it's really taking a toll on children. I hear like the hospitals are starting to fill with mental problems. These young children that are so afraid of dying at such a young age, that walk around with masks. You know, I hate to just keep rambling, but, you know, I saw like the equipment that a virologist will wear. It looks like a spacesuit to protect them from a virus. And you think these flimsy cloth masks mean a thing? It's a shame what's happened. And patriotism has become a dirty word, just like I had hoped it would.
Well, speaking of this, you talk about the mask. I mean, now Dr. Fauci is saying that we should wear not one but two masks. I mean, and he's out there speaking on the news and different channels as to how bad it was under Trump. That little man could have left at any given point in time. Who's making, by the way, 400,000K plus. 400K plus, highest paid government employee or taxpayer dollars, and he has more debts to his name. I mean, if he wants to blame anyone, if he doesn't want to blame China, blame Dr. Fauci, who kept telling us about some model that he was putting together, and the information you put into the model, and if you don't get the information to the model, it's only as good as the information you put into the model. It's like, are you serious, Dr. Fauci? Dr. Fraud? But now he wants to go out and attack the president. And it's interesting how these guys are attacking him now. Why? Well, he doesn't have a voice. The president can't come out and say
anything. Can't defend himself.
He can't. So they're like out there. It's funny. It's like the cat's away, the mice will play. So they're like, he can't say anything. The moment he comes back, they will all start scurrying away like roaches and hiding in the dark. But now they want to attack. Well, let's attack the president. He can't say anything now. Let's attack him. It's really sad when you look at it. It's hilarious, and it's sad, and it's unfortunate, and above all things, it's extremely dangerous. What they're doing is dangerous. Not wanting people to hire anyone from the Trump administration. They want to eradicate him from history altogether, as if though he never existed. It's unbelievable. It is. It's completely unbelievable. But that's where we are now. We have evolved to them trying to silence other voices. And it's really unfortunate. Really is. And I can't.
We're talking about.
You would think this wouldn't be. Go ahead, Ray.
No, we were talking about Rupert Murdoch, who just got a lifetime achievement in his home country of Australia, and which is deserved, well deserved. But in the article I read, in his speech, he was really lamenting how the cancel culture has taken over, and suppression in the media has become a huge issue, and that he's not finished yet. But he's also the chairman of the board of Fox News, right? What has he done to avert suppression in his own network? Just a big hypocrite, and a very talented, wonderful guy who's done a lot. But when it comes down to it, we are supposed to have a free press. That's number one in the Constitution, right?
Yep.
Why is it under attack? Why is it means nothing? Why does it mean nothing in this country anymore? That it's perfectly okay to have suppression because you don't like a point of view? That's a reason? I mean, the founders would be like, stupefied that this is actually happening. I don't know, how do we get out of this?
Well, yeah. Remember, Heather said on the other night, on Sunday night, she said that a lot of her associates, she was telling them that you might not like the speech, but it's free speech, and we have to defend the other person's free speech. And how we got to this point in society whereby you have people on CNN, MSNBC, Washington Post, the New York Times trying to silence those voices. I was reading the other day, this editor for the New York Times, Lauren Wolf, she got fired for gushing over President Biden. Now, I don't know if that's the real reason or not, but I'm thinking, but if you're going to fire her, you should fire your entire staff just about, because you're all guilty of the same thing. All of them are guilty. They're coming out, oh, Biden gave the best speech ever. Oh, he's this, he's that. Well, you're saying he gave the best speech because I guess that's the best speech he's ever given in his lifetime, because usually he's plagiarizing or he's getting all stupefied over the words, stumbling over the words. So maybe in to that point, it was the best speech. But it's unfortunate that we've gotten to this, and they've silenced all the voices so that this false narrative can get out there in public domain, and it's reinforced over and over again. It's as if though they have a meeting in the morning, and they all come out saying the same thing: insurrection, 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 insurrection. The president calls violence, violence, violence. It's like, no, he did not. And again, I'm going to go back to this whole thing with the impeachment. Okay, so they impeached him, which was false, but the fact that you have these people who are supposed to be lawmakers, upholders of the Constitution, that are broaching upon doing an unconstitutional act and trying to legitimize it and make we the people see it as being legitimate and that there's nothing wrong with it, is extremely dangerous, because the Constitution does not say once the president has left the office, you can go after a private citizen. Constitution does not say that. And the fact that they're trying to put this together, ramrod it down our throats. Patrick Leahy, who got sick after committing an illegal act, he gets sick, he's not feeling well, he goes to the hospital. Someone is trying to tell him something, he needs to wake up. Yes. But the fact that they're trying to push this down our throats to make it seem as if though it is legitimate is wrong. That is the reason why they have taken our voices up of a lot of the social media platforms, because they don't want this truth coming out there. Because if they weren't afraid, they would keep us there and just say, hey, no one is paying any attention to them, so let them speak. The fact that you have a senator saying that we should investigate Parler because we think that it was in Parler whereby they put together all these acts of violence that took place on January 6th, when you can go on Facebook and on Twitter and you can see the left planning and scheming to go to different cities and states and countries and create havoc under the guise of protesting. There is your insurrection. There is your plotting. There is your aiding and abetting. And the fact that no one in the media has a curiosity to go and call this out. No one in Congress wants to call it out because Maxine Waters is busy saying that she can take out the president. She's busy telling people, inciting a violence, saying go around them, and you tell them you're not welcome, which is what they did to Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Just what the directors of Homeland Security, Mitch McConnell, which is what they're trying to do to Josh Hawley, which is what they did to his family. They did to Tucker Carlson. And no one is calling it out because we say, well, that's okay. It is not okay. I would not send my child to Harvard or to any Ivy League knowing that they're going to be brainwashed. It is not worth it to put all that money out there to get groupthink. No one can think outside of the box. I'm going to hate on you because you don't agree with me that today I want to be a female and not a male. Although when I pull my pants down, I see something that's dangling, which tells me that I am a male. But I am told not to look at that. So because you don't agree with me, I want to cancel you. This is nothing but Hitleritarian. This is what they did in Hitler. This is what the Nazis did. People have forgotten history. And when you forget history, you are doomed to repeat it. So I will talk about this over and over and over again. And if people don't like it, you can tune me out. Facebook will probably shut us down, but I will keep talking because we are in a very dangerous part of our society. And this cannot continue. Absolutely cannot continue.
You know, we've been under the gun. I know I used to listen a lot to Dan Bongino and his podcasts. And long before in the months leading up to the election, they were starting to plant the seed that the right was going to be violent, that Trump wouldn't leave the White House, that there was going to be this big fight. We'd have to pull him, the military would have to pull him out of the White House. And all of these, stories, and that was okay. But we can't even investigate some fraudulent behavior regarding the election. I know, Rob, you talk about this all the time. Why hasn't there been a full and comprehensive investigation, considering the fact that there's been thousands of affidavits? And affidavits are serious pieces of paper. They're not just flagrant. These are people that saw things. I mean, if there were servers in other countries, well, what is this Kraken they've been talking about? All of this stuff has all been completely swept as if it doesn't exist. It's all a lie. There's nothing to it. It's all, just nonsense, and we're not going to even look at it. And then you had the Republican, senators support that.
Yeah.
I mean, unbelievable.
It's ridiculous. It is. It is completely unbelievable. The fact that they don't even want you to look at it or to touch it. And then just speaking about censorship and them trying to silence our voices, it's like, folks, look around you. This is what China wants. I wouldn't at all be surprised if China said, you need to silence those voices. You need to get them off the platform because China has a huge population and Twitter wants that population as well as Facebook. No one is thinking, wait, maybe we should put 1 and 1 together and come up with 2. And when we see 2, we see China. No one is thinking that because China has said, if you talk about us, we're going to silence you. This is what happens in communist China. This is what happens in Russia. They're so big on Russia. Oh, Russia did this and Russia did that. Well, this is what Russia wants, to silence the opposing view. This is what Russia wants. You guys are saying, again, I look back at January 6th, and when that took place, I said, that's most unfortunate, it's sad, but I just found it interesting that the people who were saying, oh my God, how did they do it? Why could they do this? I'm like, these are the same people who wanted to burn down the Capitol and the White House this summer. They burned half of St. John's Church. So I'm like, why are you so concerned now? It's bad, but why are you guys having a conniptia? And then during the inauguration, oh my God, Lady Gaga, she sung that song so beautifully. Oh, and this and that. I'm thinking, are you serious? You guys don't like the national anthem. You don't like the Pledge of Allegiance. You don't like the American flag. And now all at once patriotic? Maybe this was a blessing and some patriotic, but I just don't get it as to what's happening here. Right? This is our country. This is America. And
Right.
what I wake up and I'm thinking, are we United States of China and we just don't know it? I mean, China has now surpassed us with all the investments and more people, so they say, invested in them last year than in America. Now, mind you that we got the Wuhan virus from China. And now Joe Biden is saying, you can't say China virus. What? You can't tell me what I can and I can't say. But apparently he's trying to. This is where it all starts. And when I see people sitting in their little corner saying, hooray, 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 heh, 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 I'm like, before long, it's going to hit you. It is going to hit you. And it's these liberals. I know that a lot of people don't care for Malcolm X, but he cautioned us on white liberals who have all this guilt for what they did to blacks with slavery. And then when slavery ended and they ushered in Jim Crow laws, it wasn't the Republicans. It was white liberals, which is what we have now. They controlled the media. They control big tech. And because of their sins, they want to put their sins on everyone else. It is they who would not allow black women to appear on their magazines. Who controlled the magazines? White liberals. They control the media. And now they want to make it seem as if though, oh no, it's them, not us. It's like, are you serious? The guilt of white liberals is extremely dangerous, and they will rip this country apart. We'll rip it apart thinking we've got to do this and we've got to do that. No, you don't have to do anything but open up the door and let me walk through, minus your hands in my pocket, minus you trying to control my thought process. But they won't do it. They want to bring down the entire world with your crazy ideas of, oh no, you're not a boy. You can make that decision when you're maybe 18 years old. And if you change your mind, you can change your mind. Who cares?
Mm-hmm.
We're just a free for all. I don't think so.
Yeah. And now Joe Biden has let them infiltrate our military. I mean, these people are mentally ill in my book. Their suicidal rate is at least 5 to 10 times what normal kids are. Kids are being brainwashed into thinking this is okay to change your sex as a kid and become suicidal and all kinds of other issues that have been linked to transgender. It's just a complete societal downfall. And they're going to join the military and get a sex operation and get most of their time spent in the military recovering from the sex operation that the taxpayers paid for. It's just absolutely absurd.
Well, not only that, they're going to prison and they're doing the same thing. No, I don't want my taxpayer dollars to go toward your craziness. Okay. Because the sad thing about it, because this is what's happening. I mean, I'm just doing some studies and looking at this. You have a large percentage of people, you know, they're told, okay, you're transgender, you're in the wrong body, you're this or that. Maybe some are, I don't know. But there are others who are pushed in that direction and then they commit suicide because they wake up saying, I don't want this body. I mean, think about it. You have lived your entire adult life with a penis or a vagina. And then one day you wake up and that's all gone. Now you have to transition and to become that which you have changed physically, mentally. A lot of people can and a lot of people can't. But to push that and then we have to pay for it. Mm-hmm. And then Title IX, little girls are now, I saw one of our guests on the show did a tweet the other day that I saw on Instagram was saying that they were saying that the women voted for Joe Biden to compete against the men in different sports now. I'm like, are you serious? It's unbelievable. They are the real war on women, the Democrats.
Yes.
Why can't you just recognize a woman? Why do you have to go, we're going to recognize a transgender woman? Okay, that's fine, but what about this woman who's been kicking her butt all her life to participate in some sport or to be recognized or to be on a magazine cover, Sports Illustrated? Well, no, we're not going to give it to her. We're going to give it to a transgender. Why? Tell me why, other than the fact that this is identity politics. And if it's so normal,
just imagine all the work that goes into.
Go ahead, Ray.
Just imagine work that goes into a woman athlete becoming the top of their game, and hopefully going for a scholarship. Maybe they were great in high school and they get a chance to get a scholarship into college. And the next thing you know, they have to compete against a male and they lose that scholarship.
Yeah.
This is an attack on women.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously, a serious attack on women. And I agree with Andrew that the only reason they're doing the transgender in the military is to have you and I pay for their sex change, because can't do it outside. No one, it would be out of their own pocket.
Mhm.
Yep.
You know, but within the military, they'll make it like it's okay. Well, it's a reassignment surgery and the government will pay for it.
Unbelievable.
I mean, we're not talking about battlefield stuff, are we?
Unbelievable.
Which is what the military is too. I mean, we can talk about it really comes back down to some basic fundamentals that the government is not to control us. It's our government. And it's completely been flip-flopped that people think the government has the right to dictate what happens in our lives. I mean, it's a serious fundamental flaw that if you go to any civics class from junior high school on up, they'll think that it's the government that controls what happens in our lives.
Because they're not being taught. They're not being taught right.
No, they don't. They haven't. They're not being taught right, and we're seeing the manifestation every day in a culture of that everything that is fundamental is being canceled.
Yep.
And I had that poem I was thinking about calling the cancellation of America.
Are you ready to read that for us, Ray?
I think it would be a good time point, don't you?
Absolutely.
Let me dig it out.
Well, while you're digging that out, let me just make one more comment here about just going back to the virus and how Fauci's saying wear 2 masks, and people are saying the blue states are now trying to open up. They've now decided that hey, it's time to open up the economy, while they have wreaked complete havoc on a lot of the restaurants. And our teachers are now saying, we don't want to go back to school. We don't want the kids in school. Now, I can't really fault the teachers because of the teachers union, a very strong organization that's extremely misguided. Do you guys realize that we're going to have a generation of kids that unfortunately will not know much of nothing? Why? Because of these liberals keeping everything shut down, not wanting to open up. Meanwhile, they're going to restaurants. Look at the mayor of, what was it, Oregon? What is the guy's name who decided to pepper spray someone? Wheeler?
Ted Wheeler.
Ted Wheeler, are you serious? The guy's telling him, you went out to eat and you didn't have your mask on. And he got fed up and just decided to pepper spray the guy. And he himself allowed all of this to take place this summer. Now you want to fight back? That's a wuss. He now wants to fight back because he's being called out. What gives for these people? They have torn up the country, wreaked havoc in these different cities. Now that the Democrats control both the House and the Senate, they now want to get monies to help prop them up after they destroyed the economy. And those people who are out there, they're saying, well, I got my job and I'm fine. Okay, you're fine, but see, you're being selfish. You have the mindset of a liberal. You don't care about others. You're only concerned about what you have. Because your thing is, well, let the government take care of them. The government can't take care of everyone. So all you little selfish people who are out there saying, oh, well, I got my job, I kept my job. Yeah, but what about those who wanted to keep their jobs and they couldn't? What about those who had put their entire life savings in a business that is now destroyed because of liberal government, liberal states? And then you people who are saying, I've got my job, what would you do? Leave the state that you have messed up and then start having all those same crazy ideas there. Unbelievable. Let's go ahead. Go ahead, Ray.
Here we go. It's called Canceling America. I thought it was a joke. Someone's pulling at my leg. They're canceling America? No more blue moon in the keg? They're canceling the Redskins. Oklahoma's given back. Next will be the White House, no doubt to the color black. There's Goya paranoia, frijoles and white rice, boycott their brand throughout the land because he said that Trump was nice. They're canceling deplorables and suppressing what we say. God forbid should Biden win, they're gonna make us pay.
Ooh.
They'll tear down every statue. They'll decide that they've done wrong. Judgment through a sordid current view. The eyes of history say so long. They'll be canceling our culture. They'll say everything must go. 400 years of blood, sweat, and tears if we let the leftists run the show. It's time we stood up to this crap, raise our fist and load our gun. Show these bullies that it's time to blow cancellation to kingdom come. I pledge I will keep writing. I will never spare this pen. I know that God will say to me, Ray, this chance may never come again.
Powerful.
Fantastic, Ray. The thing about the Democrats is they continue to go for the throat of President Trump after everything that we've seen. They were the ones that pushed the Russia hoax for 4 years. They've been the ones separating the country for the last 4 years. They've been gaslighting every chance they get. We still have not seen anyone held accountable for Barack Obama spying on President Trump's campaign.
No.
That was never made an issue out of. Fantastic poem, Ray.
No, I agree.
Thank
No,
you. I mean,
no accountability whatsoever. I don't know what John Durham is going to come up with, but there's been no accountability. And here's the thing about it. I mean, and I try to break this down in the most simplest of terms. I know you guys saw the other day with what's the guy's name on ABC News, George Stephanopoulos having a run-in, and we spoke about this on Sunday about there being voter fraud and whatnot. And he came out and said, well, Barr, Trump's own person, said that there was no fraud, there was no this, there's no that. And this is what I want to say. There was fraud. And Barr even said so earlier on. After the election, Barr said, I contacted the folks, they said that everything was okay. Everything is okay does not mean that there wasn't fraud. Okay, because again, there was fraud. And when we tried to investigate it and tried to look at it, we were shut down on every end. Now, I know that some said that when they went before the courts, Giuliani said, oh, no, we're not saying fraud, we're saying this. I mean, I don't understand what happened there. But again, you can go to the different states and they'll say, well, yeah, there were some problems, but not enough to overturn the election. Okay, we're not saying overturn the election. We're saying what were the problems? And from there, we can make the decision as to what the next steps should be. But to say that there was no fraud and that everything was on the up and up, it's just wrong. And that is the reason why 74 million Trump supporters are angry at this point. And now you have people saying, like Katie Couric, we want to deprogram them. Deprogram them to what? To agree with your crazy ideas? That a man can be a man and a man can be a woman, and that a man can have a baby, a man can have a period. Now, someone talked about that the other day, and I've got to share this with you guys. So I was reading somewhere an article or something, and they were saying that that boys can have periods. And I read it rather quickly, and I'm thinking, okay, and I'm like, wait, let me read that again. And the way the piece was written, it was as if though it was like, this is true, and I think it came from some doctor, whatever. So I read it again. And then I started to question myself. I'm like, wait a minute. Did I miss something when I was growing up? Period? I mean, I'm serious. I'm like, did I miss something? And I started thinking, I'm like, what is a possibility? I'm like, well, maybe they're having a period some other way, or the boys call it something else. And I'm looking at this. And then I started to do the research. And it's really sad. What they're telling kids. In fact, what was happening is they were saying that there was a kid, a little, who was trying to transition. Well, she wanted to call herself a boy. So she wanted to fit in, I'm sorry. So when her time of the month came and she had her period, she said, but this is not supposed to be, I'm a little boy. So her crazy psychologist and psychiatrist of a doctor told her, oh, that's okay. Little boys have periods also. So you now have kids going to school with schools teaching them that little boys have periods also. Bullshit. Absolutely not. And we shouldn't allow that to be in the schools. It is wrong. It is confusing.
I mean, there are things called PMS. These are emotional, things we hear about as men. But a period itself is a biological, scientific, physical change that happens to a woman during a period, a menstrual period. Yep. I mean, we have gotten away from just very simple explanations of things. Everything's gotten to a point of making it something that it isn't, and then that becomes the norm. I mean, we could look at 10 different things that have happened in the last few years.
Yep.
I mean, tearing down a statue. Just think about that. So what are they going to do on the Washington Monument? Because there's a story that George Washington once cut down a tree, and it offends tree huggers. So now we throw out history. So we've seen attempts to throw out history over these last few years, and every time we speak up about it, we get shut down. And the transgender issue, so many different issues.
Well, let me just play this really quick. I just found a clip that Andrew was talking about. Here we go.
Boys have a penis, girls have a vagina.
That's right. There you go. I'm not going to argue with that kid.
Kindergarten Cop. One of my favorite movies, Kindergarten Cop.
Isn't that crazy? That kid is smarter than about half the population now.
Well, half of the Democrat population on the left. I mean, but that's it. I mean, there's no if, ands, or buts. Let me just put it back out there just in case people are wondering. There's no in between. It is what it is.
Boys have a penis, girls have a vagina.
That's it, folks.
Biology 101.
Right. And
it's pretty simple, straightforward.
He's talking about follow the science, but when it's time to follow the science, they want to take a detour and oh no, that's not for us. It's for thee, but not for me. And that's what you have with these guys. It's for thee, not for me. I don't want to do it. I want to do what I want to do. But it can't be that way. It's just not that way,
Can we talk about the attack on our energy right now?
Oh, absolutely.
Because I think this is like going on right now. It has to be discussed.
Yes.
This attack on our energy is going to affect everyone, Democrat, Republican, anybody in between. What really is going on with this Keystone Pipeline spending the permits? I'd really like to get to the bottom of what's really going on, because we know that Joe Biden couldn't get up there in 2 minutes, explain it. Everything is being explained to him. He, in my opinion, he's a nice guy or whatever, but to me right now, he's a puppet. Yep. But what's going on with the energy in the pipeline? I'd like to hear you guys.
I'll just sum it up and I'll say this. It's a job killer, and people are going to be without jobs. And my question is, did they vote for Joe Biden? Okay, you even have Canada that are saying, wait a minute, what's going on here? Well, I mean, Joe told you what he was going to do. So don't be dismayed. All you people who voted for him, don't be dismayed, because he told you what he was going to do.
It makes absolutely no sense. He's already cost over 11,000 Americans their jobs. China and Russia has just got to be laughing at us that we're just going to go back to being reliant on the Middle East again when we're making our own energy right here in the United States. I've heard experts from Canada say that this is actually not a green deal, energy deal whatsoever, because now we're going to have to be shipping all this oil through trucks and boats, and yeah, we're going to have to dock it in Seattle and San Francisco instead of just going straight through this pipeline. It's just a job killing disaster that is not good for America or Americans. It makes absolutely no sense. And then you talk about going green. These batteries for these green cars are coming from foreign countries like the Congo, and just raiding them of their resources. It's been proven that they cost even more energy to get the lithium for these batteries than what it costs to make a normal car. So none of it adds up.
No, it doesn't. And here's the thing, we were energy efficient. We didn't have to get oil from Saudi Arabia. Everything was fine. So now we're going to roll back the clock and we're going to go back to all this. I mean, is anyone stopping to think? There's so much hate for President Trump that they think that Joe is going to come in and just like save the world. No, he's not. With how many executive orders? 17 or 20? He's a madman. He is a madman. To end the Keystone, I mean, jobs, like Andrew said, 11,000 jobs. Russia and China are having a field day laughing. That's all China wants anyway. And we Americans, because of the hate that they give, so much hate in our heart, that we're like, oh, okay, next. It's unbelievable.
And then you have they stopped the construction of the southern border wall.
Oh.
I mean, all in 1 week. All these jobs, all of these jobs, people related to the wall, all gone. And what I heard was, well, since part of the money came from reshuffling funds from the military, that shouldn't have happened, so we got to stop building the wall. And then you have a couple of Congress people near the southern border that are, supporting this.
Reshuffling the funds from the military while we're going to pay for transgender surgery. So we have a lot of guys joining the army just to become transgender. And like Andrew said, they'll sit up for like about 2 years trying to heal and whatnot. This is crazy. Go ahead, Andrew. I think you have a couple of things you want to talk about.
Well, just like the pipeline, canceling the border wall is another job killer for Americans. We've got millions of Americans here looking for a job in the middle of a pandemic, and Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are going to allow millions of illegals to come in here and compete with the low-income and minority communities in our country for jobs. But yeah, just a few things I wanted to touch on before we go. Did you guys see that Walkaway founder Brandon Straka was targeted and arrested and charged with felonies in Nebraska for being at the Stop the Steal rally on January 6th? Very interesting timing on this, because they waited until after President Trump was out of office to arrest him. You have to wonder if they're going to try and get some others that were at that rally, like that Ali Alexander. He's been deplatformed from all of his social media accounts. Yeah, and he released a video on Gab saying that he's in hiding. So you just have to wonder if Straka is the first of a bunch of dominoes to fall here.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'll say this. You know that the one guy whom I really don't care for, his name is Jacob Chansky. He goes by Jake Angeli. He's out now saying that, I want to apologize to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez for saying I wanted to kill her. I'm willing to go before the Senate, the Congress, or whatever, and I want to testify. I want to say that Trump made me do it. I was following his instructions. I'm like, no. What we have right here, and I said this on Sunday, what Mr. Whatever his name is, the Jacob Shansky, Chewbacca, or Cowman is doing, is that his attorney probably told him, look, the only way you're going to get out of this is just to go against Trump. Right now, Trump can't say anything. So you have the perfect opportunity to attack him and tell them that you are under his spell, and you did this, you did that. Nope, I would throw that guy under the jail. Acting on his own. I saw the videotape. He walked in there, did what he did. No one told him to do it. Okay. So now he's a turncoat. He's just like all the other rhinos that are there. So as far as I'm concerned, dismiss him. I'm sure CNN will have him on their station at some point, as well as MSNBC once they try to vet him. He'll probably ask for money. They'll probably say no, but they'll probably get him there, and then he'll start pontificating a bunch of lies. Give me a break. As far as Brian Stroka, I mean, that is interesting that they've gone after him. And I read in an article that you sent me, Andrew, that he's now, I think he's in some undisclosed area by the FBI. The only thing I can say to him, the good thing is that it's not Hillary Clinton. Because if Hillary Clinton was in charge, you want to be careful because you know how she is. People come in and they don't come out.
Ray, do you see this as the Democrats attacking their political opponents once again? This time, not necessarily the fellow politicians, but people who supported the MAGA movement. Obviously,
Absolutely.
The walkaway movement was big.
Absolutely. And you know what? And I think I put this on Facebook or one of the social media platforms, is that, believe it or not, President Trump had every right to go after Hillary Clinton. Crooked Hillary. She broke the law. Okay. Every right. And he could have done it before he left office. He could have set up a special investigator, special counsel, and say, I want you to look into her because she created this whole Russia collusion thing. But he didn't. Okay, he could have, and it would have been legitimate because there was a lot of corruption going on there, as well as with Barack Obama. These people are immune from being called in and held accountable because of the positions that they held. Now, it's sad that we've gotten here because this would be just like a non-going thing until someone decides to stop it. Someone is held accountable. Joe Biden could come out right now and say, hey, in this impeachment deal, let's move forward, but he's not. Because he's trying to protect Hunter Biden. So this thing will proceed. So the Democrats are going after their political adversaries because they want to shut everyone down and they want to scare you into thinking if you even think about being a conservative or Republican, we will go after you. Remember the tape that I played earlier on with the woman saying, hey, you Trumpsters, we're coming after you?
Oh, yeah.
She has yet to be arrested. Brian Stroka, he's arrested. Now, I heard that he was there. He was saying, hey, guys, come on, let's go in, let's go in. Yeah, but he didn't go in and burn down the place like they did this summer. I mean, that's the big difference. This summer, they burned down state and federal buildings. Right now, in Seattle and Portland, they're burning down the place. And don't look there. It's okay. These guys are dangerous.
Do you think there'll be enough backlash?
Well, Ray, that's a good question. But you would think there would have been a backlash this summer. You see? And look at what happened. Because it's happening in these big Democrat-held states and cities. The mayor is a Democrat. You don't see this stuff in red states because they put a kibosh on it. So I don't know, but I do know that what they're trying to do is get money from the government to rebuild, which is unfortunate. That means higher taxes for the rest of us.
They'll get it.
Yeah.
They're going to get it. They're going to get whatever they ask for. You know, when you have a Congress that, the House, they got the House, the Senate, and the president.
Mm-hmm.
We're in a pickle.
Yeah.
If you don't see it, if you don't see the pickle, you need to get a new jar because we're in a thick.
And it's a sour pickles. Sour pickles.
I actually like sour pickles.
So do I. Go ahead, Andrew.
Another
deli, man.
Yeah, I'm a big pickle lover myself. Another big story that's picking up some steam tonight is we've all seen the Conway family, quite the dysfunctional family with George Conway and Kellyanne have got their own problems. But this daughter of theirs, she is a real handful. Apparently, she called the police on Kellyanne Conway, and the police came over to their house saying that Kellyanne was abusive of her. It's pretty hard to believe, and another sad story in this Conway family.
It's all part of the same, rat on your neighbor, rat on your family. I understand that they've they're about to fund 100,000 contact traces throughout the country. 100,000 rats. I'm sorry to say it. They're going to be questioning you about your whereabouts relating to the virus. This thing's not going to end. It's not going to end pretty. And then when they come after your guns, that's next. I get a little confused over the filibuster, you know, whether it will stand or whether it will be, you know, revoked. I know the nuclear option has helped us with Kavanaugh. It's helped us with Amy Coney Barrett. I think we're all a little disappointed in the Supreme Court, aren't we? That we thought there would be a little more support.
I think there's still hope. We'll see how they rule on other issues. I never wanted them, as I said, to intervene with the election. I think they should have heard, some of the challenges in the different states, but I wasn't as concerned as I was with the state legislatures. But just going back to Kellyanne Conway, that is a very disturbed family. I don't know how Kelly was able to do it for as long as she did, just for 4 years almost with her husband, who I think has some issues. But then that daughter, she's got to get her psychological help. I don't know who leaked the pictures of her. I wouldn't at all be surprised if it wasn't the dad. I mean, everyone is saying when Kellyanne did it, what about the dad? So it's I pray for them. That's all I can say. I pray for them.
Absolutely. Sad that their family problems have gotten so much in the public, and that a lot of the liberals just loving the story and just completely cheer on this young girl just going after her parents. It's really sad to see.
And like you said, the liberals are cheering her on. See, they have no sense of families, hierarchy. It's like if the kid wants to act out and do this to the parent, oh, hooray, 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 we love it. We love it. It's beautiful. They're dangerous. It does not take. I see why now people kick back on Hillary Clinton. It takes a village to raise a kid. No, it takes me to raise my kid, not the village, because the village has all these other crazy warped ideas. Please.
I mean, I grew up, you honor your mother and your father. I mean, maybe that's a little biblical and this and that, and even that's under attack, right?
Yep.
That's another thing under attack. But we're seeing it all over where children are just, again, ratting on parents and,
out of control.
It's totally out of control. And I know if Bibi were here tonight, she would talk about that from a Judeo-Christian point of view, that we've gotten so far away from, I'm going to say it, the 10 Commandments.
Yeah.
And if you really take the time to examine the 10 Commandments, they're pretty simple, but they're really powerful.
Yep.
Especially about thou shalt not steal. And it's not just stealing things. I mean, it's like if a child does this to a parent, they're stealing the relationship that's an honorable relationship. Right? You could look at it so many different ways. And I mean, if you just really look at it, these are simple things, honoring and respecting and your elders. And I mean, it's just, we've seen just such a deterioration in the last, 20 years, 10 years, 15, 30 years. I don't even know. I mean, I wrote a poem called The Lost Inner Hippie. Because for a long time, I couldn't put my finger on why people my age, baby boomers, were Trump supporters, were Democrats, and they weren't really talking up to the Spygate. And I wrote this poem because all of these people that grew up hating the FBI and what they would do, and wanting there to be fairness, and but they would allow Hillary to bleach bits and steal, that that I was really shocked that my contemporaries have lost the vision of the 60s. And that's all I'm going to say about it. One day I'll read the poem. It will make more sense. But for a long time, I couldn't figure out why my contemporaries were, not patriots anymore.
Eric Holder, former Attorney General, is urging the Democrats to pack the Supreme Court, which I think we've talked about a little bit in the show already, but just another far-left, radical, progressive policy that Biden may enact. Hopefully this does not happen. We all heard it talked about so much when Amy Coney Barrett got added to the Supreme Court. How many justices will the Democrats add, if any? We just all have to hope that this does not happen now that they're in control of the House and Senate, because I guess who's going to stop them, right?
Yeah, I mean, and well, their party champion, Ruth Bader, said that, you don't need more than 9 judges, them wanting to pack the court in order to, again, this is all about trying to silence anyone that thinks differently or want to do differently. They want to keep the country liberal, Democrat for as long as they can. That's extremely dangerous because we know that their policies don't work. On the surface, it seems as though that they're okay. Not even on the surface. You look around you and you see that they don't work. You look at all of the
inner
blue
cities.
states, right? Inner cities. Look at the blue states. They just don't work. Look at the crime that has increased. And for a judge to go in thinking that this is okay, I mean, again, I just go back to that judge who wouldn't give a reprieve for Parler, and her thought process. Well, I don't think that you'll win if this were taken to court. It's like, are you serious? Are you serious? Activist judges. A liberal judge is a very dangerous thing when left unchecked. Liberals as a whole are dangerous when left unchecked. And I think, this is what's happening now. They lie, they steal, they cheat. And Eric Holder, he is not above it. I mean, like he said, he was Barack Obama's wingman. I never trusted the guy. Never.
Sometimes I feel like this whole thing is Obama 2.0.
Oh, it is.
Nobody's really talking about this. And I mean, I've heard that he just signs his name to blank executive orders and they fill it in. I don't really believe he's running the country. He's made these very swift changes that he probably couldn't opine on for more than 15 seconds.
It's probably Obama and
Susan Rice.
Oh yeah, Susan Rice right up there. I mean, they should have already handicapped her. Trump could have gone after her during his time in office, but he didn't. So
here we are.
Yeah, here we are.
So what can we do? We got to maintain a voice.
Absolutely.
That's
and we will.
Primary. And maybe Paula will prevail in court. And there's something you said over the last couple of weeks I'd like to explore, maybe not tonight, but you were talking about the airwaves are not owned by the tech giants. The internet itself, the physical internet that's connecting the world right now, that's not owned by private enterprise, correct?
Right.
But they are acting like it's theirs, that they can do what they want. So maybe the place to attack them is that they could be removed from the internet.
Right. Yeah. Again, this whole idea that they're a private company, they can do this and do that. When you look at these private companies over the past couple of years who didn't want to do wedding cakes for gay and lesbian couples, and they took it all the way to the Supreme Court. That's just a ruse. We're a private company. We can do whatever we want to do. It's like, but you're utilizing, public airways. You're utilizing things that belong to the public,
right?
And you're saying that you're private, okay? And if you are private, then you don't have the authority to try and say, hey, I'm going to that person because it's discrimination. Just baffled as to why the media is not calling it out and why the senators aren't calling it out. Why are they saying, oh, well, no, it's a private company. It's a private company. I mean, that's the first argument they'll make. They'll say that it's a private company and they can do whatever they want to do. Well, if that is the case, then they can pick and choose whom they choose to hire. And if it is a private company, and if they choose to go along those lines, then there should be none of my taxpayer dollars, none of my servants, representatives on these private platforms, because these private platforms are discriminating. Amazon should not have, but Amazon's a public company, but part of it, some of it is private, should not be given any government contracts if it is going to behave in the way in which it is behaving. But you see, no one is calling them out.
No.
And unless they call them out, my little voice saying it, they'll just say, okay, this was one little voice, we're not going to pay any attention. But at the same time, let's kick him off the platform so that others won't begin to question them. See, if you don't have a mind, if you don't have that curiosity, if you're not thinking, you're not going to say, wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense, because you told these people they couldn't do it, but you're telling them they can. And the way the media talks about it is if though they're jubilantly, oh, but it's a private company, they can kick anyone off the platform. Oh, no, they can't. And if they are doing it, then government officials should not be on that platform. They derided President Trump for being on Twitter, say he makes policies on Twitter, he does this on Twitter. No, the deal was that they were mad that he outsmarted them and say, hey, this is a way to speak to the people, to bring my message to the people, unfiltered, as opposed to going through the media. They did not like that. So if that is the case, if you don't want him on there, then why are other government officials on there? They attacked him for being on there, but you had the same government officials that didn't like him on the platforms attacking the president and attacking the president's followers. But nothing was said. But the moment the Republicans do it, they're attacked. Look at Ted Cruz, look at Josh Hawley.
Yeah.
Constantly attacked, and you have them putting little tags on their tweets. Oh, this is wrong, this is wrong.
It's purely political.
Absolutely. And no one is going to question it, because we can't depend on the media, because the media, in essence, in all honesty, they're not journalists. Okay, they're propaganda machines. All of them, propaganda machines designed to to create a legacy for Barack Obama. That is plain and simple. You have Susan Rice coming out talking about this diversity and equity and all this other stuff. It's like, lady, why didn't you do it during the 8 years when Barack Obama was in office? Well, you were busy lying about Benghazi. That's the reason why. But no one is thinking. No one is thinking about these things. But we are. And we're going to call
then there's the talk of like a third party. I don't see any future for that, personally.
Well, no, and I think that Andrew and I had a guest on Sunday. No, not Sunday, but last Thursday, we were talking about it. And the whole concept is that, you have a party, the Republican Party, and the best course of action would be to kick out the rhinos like Lisa Murkowski, Susan Collins, and Pat Toomey, Mitt Romney, and definitely Ben Sasse, and even Mitch McConnell, even Lindsey Graham. You have a lot of old heads that are there that must leave, okay, because they've been there too long. 6 years tops, and then get your butt out of there. But staying there, making a career like Nancy Pelosi, she wants to be there when she's 80 years old or 90 years old. Dianne Feinstein, she's turning 80. Patrick Leahy is 80.
Even the president himself. I mean, he's getting old. I think about it. My mother said to me today, "Could you imagine if I was running the country? I just get tired. I just want to lay low." That he's been pushed forward.
Yeah,
he's been pushed forward by an agenda, and I think in his heart of hearts, he would just like to just sit back and not deal with this. And I don't see him getting up to the podium and explaining any of his positions like Trump did.
No, because he can't.
He can't.
And even if he couldn't articulate. Everyone is not good as far as articulation. But even if he couldn't, they are also afraid that the media would attack him viciously. But I mean, I'm sure the left won't. But some in Fox News and some in Newsmax, if they call on them. Well, here's the other thing. We got to think about Newsmax. Now that CNN, now that the they probably won't let the journalists pull because they get to pick and choose who goes in and who goes out. So don't be surprised. Andrew, go ahead. I know you have a lot more.
Yeah, in fact, at the press conference that Biden's press secretary had, there was just like the election, leading up to the election, where Biden handpicked all of the reporters that he called on in order. And you would think that the questions were probably pre-screened in advance.
Absolutely.
And then some few vaccine notes here. The World Health Organization has warned that pregnant women should not take the Moderna vaccine. So if you are pregnant, stay away from the Moderna coronavirus vaccine. You might want to stay away from it anyways if you believe in these next couple stories here. A couple American icons died just a couple weeks after taking the coronavirus vaccine. Hall of Fame baseball player Hank Aaron, who actually set the home run record from Babe Ruth, has got all kinds of racist threats and everything, but still pursued on, played into his late 40s, and set the home run record. All-time great baseball player. A couple weeks ago, he was all over the news talking about how he wanted to get the coronavirus vaccine to prove how safe it is. And less than 2 weeks later, he passed away. And
I didn't know that. I didn't know he had taken the shot. Wow.
And broadcasting legend Larry King had also taken the shot, from what I heard. So, and a couple weeks later, he passed away as well. So keep an eye on that. I also seen Fox News with an article about a few people that have passed away since taking the vaccine as well. So just keep an eye on that, and we'll see what happens with this vaccine. I'm definitely not in any rush to get it.
No.
We will see what happens. And then finally, some good news. A Texas judge has denied Joe Biden's freezing of deportations for 100 days, ruled that it was unconstitutional. So illegal aliens will still be deported in the next 100 days, I believe, for committing felonies. But that is finally some good news. It seems to be few and far between these days, does it not?
Yeah, I'm glad. And there was a Trump judge. I think he looked at this and he used, jurisprudence, looked at it and said, no, we can't. Because again, why are we letting these people in here? Why are we letting them in here? We don't know if they've been vaccinated, and they haven't. We don't know what viruses they're bringing in. And we're on critical mass right now. I mean, we are trying to resuscitate our own economy and our own people. And then to let in additional people who are going to take jobs, and as one of you said, take jobs from the minority community. Again, it's just, I talk about this all the time. Not that I am not concerned about other groups of people, but being a Black man and seeing how people are constantly saying that the Black communities and minority communities are suffering, then why would you want another party to come in and take jobs that the people in those communities would be competing for? It makes absolutely no sense. It makes no sense at all. So I'm glad this judge said, no, we're going to send them back. And the fact that they're going to, as you said, Andrew, earlier, stop building the wall. A country without borders is not a country. If you're going to put up a wall to protect the Capitol, why can't we put up a wall to protect our southern borders? If you're going to put up fences to protect your property, Dianne Feinstein, Nancy Pelosi, Maxine Waters, if you're going to put up fences to protect your property, why can't we protect the property of the United States by putting up a border wall? All of you folks that are there on the Hill who came to be so afraid, when all the people came here, they were going to almost kill us. They weren't going to kill you. That's what the media is telling you. But that being said, if you're going to put up a wall, if you're going to have the National Guards to come out there under the false pretense that they're coming after you, well, let's do something for real. We have people trying to cross the border. Keep the freaking wall up. And something that I didn't think about that Andrew said, look at the jobs. Those are jobs that people were working on. Now they're going to be without a job. Thanks to, again, a flick of a pen by Joe Biden. And no one is thinking about that. But that was a very good point, Andrew, when you said that. Those people won't have jobs now. So now the unemployment is going to go up. Joe is doing a horrible job. He's increasing unemployment. Too many people are dying. What the heck is he doing? Shame on you, Joe Biden. You're supposed to be a whole lot better than this. Shame, shame, shame.
They've executed a plan that's working for them, but it's not working for us. And that's the problem, that people are going to be hurt even greater than they were ever hurt before. And, you know, we're not really seeing it. It's not, you know, I mean, we're seeing it enough, like with, I think 900,000 people applied for unemployment last week. 900,000. Now that puts a lot of strain on states' unemployment funds, which they're not even dispersing. I mean, Florida is a disaster. I don't know if you've read about unemployment in Florida. You know, they're just not paying people. And then you got the borders going to open up, and then people are just going to start to flood in again. And then we're going to give them benefits, Social Security, Medicare. I mean, where is this money going to come from?
Yeah.
And then, you know, I worry as a senior whether, you know, I'm going to have a health care. I mean, I don't know if you guys realize I 4 months ago had some major surgery, and I'm doing fine now, but I got my 2020 expenses for medical, $265,000.
Wow.
I was responsible for $65.
Wow.
Our Medicare system is working for seniors. The Medicaid system, I think, is working for those that are impoverished. But it's what we do in the middle, I think, that we have to spend the time. And I don't think Obamacare helped the middle class.
No.
And just one more point on that, Ray. I do agree. Medicaid is a very good system for low-income people, but I've heard from a lot of people at Medicaid that the quality of care isn't exactly the best compared to if like you've got a good job and get like a Blue Cross Blue Shield health insurance or something like that. But that's what a lot of these Democrats that want Medicare for all don't realize. We're all going to be on like the Medicaid style plan where no one's going to have good health care. We're all going to be waiting and wait lists, just like Canada. That's why over 100,000 Canadians come to America every single year for surgery.
Right. And again, quiet as is kept, things that they don't tell you. They'll say, oh, well, look at these third world countries. They have insurance for all. They cover everybody, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, but what they're not telling you is that they cover everyone. But as far as the level of treatment, you might, today you can go to your doctor, he'll see you now. You go with this coverage for all these other countries, it's like the doctor will see you, but it might be a month from now. And if he does see you, he's not going to be in a very good hospital.
In America, if I need an MRI, I could go to a hospital right here locally and get one today. In Canada, you're on a 6 to 8 week waiting list if you need an MRI. So,
and those are the things that they don't tell you. Right. They don't tell you that. They sell you these bills of, oh, it's going to be fantastic. It's going to be beautiful. You're going to get a car. You're going to get a car. And that person's going to get a car. But when it's time to get the car, it's like, yeah, you told me a car, not a hoochie car. This thing's not going to get out the driveway. But they don't tell you that.
That's the health care is a ticking time bomb. And nobody's talking about that either. And that's going to be another explosion in our country. And Biden's going to have to deal with it. At least now Biden takes the heat a little bit. Thank God. It's about time. And I think Trump was just smart to set up an office in Palm Beach, the office of the former president.
I like that.
Let him do that. Forget about the third party. Go with Rob. Let's clean out the rhinos. The Republican Party put him in office in 2016. Along with some independents, Democrats that were, not going to say anything about it. And a lot of individuals that wouldn't ever say that they were a Trump supporter for fear of losing their job or their family. I mean, it was a miracle, really, that he won. But it's those same underlying problems that I think could reunify a movement to take back the House and the Senate in 2 years. And 2 years goes pretty quick, right, guys? I mean, if we have a show, you have a show for a couple of years, I think there'll be a lot to talk about. But I'm glad that Biden is starting to feel a little pressure,
Oh yeah,
and you know that's
needs
going to
more pressure.
happen. He needs
Well, he
more
will
pressure.
be held
He's
accountable.
going to.
Speaking of Biden, he's talking about a tax plan now that has to just be total Trump derangement syndrome to even think about it. Trump's tax cuts created millions of jobs for the American people. It's been a huge success. It cut taxes for the middle class, the higher class, and even lower class people. The average American family saved $3,000 a year because of President Trump's tax cuts. Joe Biden is talking about taking it all away, and he will raise taxes on the middle class. Anybody making above $60,000 a year would have a tax increase. This has just got, like I said before, this has just got to be anti-Trump derangement. Why would you change something that's working so well for the American people? The Chinese just have to be laughing at us.
Oh, absolutely. Well, he's able to change it because, again, people are completely oblivious as to what's happening. The media won't report on it. They're making them think this is the best thing since sliced bread, when actually it isn't. And then once they get into the thick of it, once 2022 comes around and they realize that, wait a minute, things aren't better, they're worse. Then they start saying, oh, well, it's because, Trump did this and Trump did that. I think it was Biden made a comment the other day. He was saying, well, when we came into office, we realized that President Trump left us in a really bad shape with this coronavirus thing. It's like, buddy, no one is buying that because he gave you Operation Warp Speed. The problem is that these liberal states, blue states, chose not to have a plan of logistics in order so that when the vaccines came down, that they would be ready to run with it. So now they want to say, oh, no, this is the President Trump. Nope, this is Biden, because Biden should have been ready for this. Since he's supposed to be God, since he got all these votes, more votes than anyone in the world, then he should have been prepared. If he's not prepared, he should own it. So we're going to hold him accountable each and every darn night when he doesn't get it right. Like I said, there are too many people that are dying. Unemployment is up. The border is ripping away at the seams. And people are disgruntled. Restaurants are closed. What is he going to do? He has to own it now.
Plus the pandemic.
Look at all the thousands of Americans that have died now under Joe Biden's watch. And wouldn't it be kind of ironic if I'm not saying that we're hoping for this, because obviously we don't like to see American citizens die, but wouldn't it be kind of ironic after all the talk liberals did that Trump has so many deaths on his hands, if the death count ends up being higher under Joe Biden's watch than it was President Trump's?
Well, I think we'll see the death counts being kind of suppressed to suspended.
I was going to say that.
Yeah, that's true.
Why is this kept? Because remember, they had said that 2 million would be dead by now. See, I guess they were hoping that they were thinking, well, Trump is going to get it, so we're going to say 2 million. 2 million so far, not 2 million. So between January 6th and this summer, if they don't increase, if it triples, that's on Joe Biden.
Insult to injury, Trump got the COVID and kicked its ass in about 3 days. So they didn't like that either.
It was a glorious 3 days.
Yeah. And they won't talk about it.
Wasn't it? Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. Giuliani got it, and they will not talk about it. They will not talk about it.
Well, I think what it really comes down to is suppression.
Yeah.
And alleviating suppression so that we can, call it conservative movement can start to rebuild. And that goes directly to big tech.
Mm-hmm.
That we need to take some very strong stance against suppression, or we're cooked.
Yeah, I agree.
We'll continue to be cooked. And Congress, I mean, what a disappointment. I mean, they have what a 12% approval rating. I mean, seriously.
That's ridiculous.
And I don't see term limits ever becoming, a real issue, because there's a conflict of interest. Yeah. Why should they vote term limits to their own terms?
Mm-hmm.
It's an impossibility.
Right.
It won't happen. So the only way is to have a strong conservative movement Republican Party that's without suppression, so that the truth can get out. And I applaud you guys for I know you've had a lot of over 200, 300 shows this year. I mean, that says a lot. And I hope it can catch fire. I mean, I'm happy to come on as a guest. You know that. I love reading a few poems. And I mean, there's a lot more to write about, but I've been just living off what I wrote. But every day there's new material. And I do want to take a couple of shots at the current administration. Oh my God!
Are we going to see?
Can I make a plug?
Are you going to write a book?
I'm not going to write another book right now.
The only term it could be called for Joe Biden.
I could change the name. I could always change the name of the front cover of the book. I'm considering it actually. Maybe the only term, but RayRayPoetryWorld.com for anybody that's listening. I still have books, or you can go to Amazon. I don't like to talk too much about Amazon, but that's where a lot of people sell their books.
Understood.
RayRayPoetryWorld.com.
Yep.
I hope you guys are enjoying. I know, Rob, it's good because you're telling me which poems you'd like to see or hear. From reading the book. It's a good book, isn't it?
It is. Very good books. I would definitely recommend it. Now, before we end, I just want to make two more notes. I find it interesting that Charles Barkley started it off by saying that the athletes should get the shots first, the vaccine first before anyone else, because they're providing us with entertainment. And now we hear that Hollywood entertainers are trying to secretly go out and pay doctors for the shots, which we kind of knew that was going to happen. And all these people, of course, are who? Liberals who had initially said, don't get the shot. Not if Trump is going to do it. Don't get the shot. Now they're running to Trump's shot. It's all Trump's shot that they're running to. Last thing I want to make note of is the Super Bowl. And what are your thoughts about the Super Bowl?
Well, I'm being that Bill Belichick refused to get the Medal of Freedom award, I'm all over Tom Brady doing such a good job. Now, I'm always have mixed feelings about, whether they stand and the problems with the NFL and this and that. But, I think America needs football.
Yep. I'm not a really big, football fan, but I've got to give it to Tom Brady. I mean, the guy's 43 years old, and he is like kicking butt. They said that he hasn't been his normal self, but I mean, he's taking another team to the Super Bowl. This is like the 10th time, and the guy he was playing against is like half his age. When he first started out, that guy was like in kindergarten, and the guy is still going. So I say hats off, and he's a Trump supporter. So hats off to Tom Brady, Bill Belichick. I know you're kicking yourself in the butt for letting him go. Apparently, he and Croft did not want to pay him any more money because they felt that, he's getting old and this is going to be money that's wasted. We don't want to sign him for another long contract. We've got to pay it out. Well, hey, you guys just did yourselves in. Mm-hmm. And for Belichick, I mean, dude, come on. I mean, of all people, you can't allow the liberal crowd to dictate the things that you do. If the president calls, you answer. I know that we're in this culture, this council culture, which I hope to God at some point explodes in the face of liberals. I want it to explode so bad. So, but
from a business standpoint, the NFL really lucked out with the Super Bowl because Tom Brady is clearly the biggest star in the sport and the most recognizable name. So I think ratings-wise, it will do very well. I haven't watched any NFL for the past couple of years, but obviously I know Tom Brady, and the Kansas City Chiefs are also a very popular team right now. I know of. They got that young quarterback Mahomes, who's a rising star. So it should be interesting. And the NFL really lucked out because I think the Super Bowl could have had lower ratings this year, but I think Brady is going to save that from happening because people will tune in to see Brady.
And I wouldn't all be surprised if Trump doesn't.
One last side note: they're letting in 23,000 spectators.
Wow!
And they're giving away 7,500 seats to respond or the first line healthcare providers. So kudos to Florida and also Tampa Bay. There'll be a pretty good crowd, and
is that where the Super Bowl is?
It's going to be in Tampa Bay.
Wow, so the Bucks got a home game basically, huh?
Yep. First time it's ever happened.
Wow, did not know that.
So there's a lot of good things going on. It's good for the pandemic that people are going to be gathering, and I think it speaks well to the state of Florida, who's kind of led the charge. I'm happy I live in Florida. I mean, when I go out every day, either alone or with my mom, there's a lot of activity out there. Everybody's wearing a mask.
Great governor, Governor DeSantis. I mean, people hated him, and look at this guy. I mean, hats off to this guy. Hats off.
He's a model. He's a model that a lot of other governors should look at.
He never wavered once with his support for this president. Never once. And that's what I admire about him. And he could have many times because he was under a lot of pressure. He never wavered. So hats off to Governor DeSantis.
Well,
absolutely. Well, folks, that's all we have for tonight. Thank you for joining us. As Andrew said at the beginning of the show, we are definitely trying to rebuild our listeners, our followers. So one of the things you could do for us is to share the replay, tell others that we are here. If you're still on Twitter, please get the word out that we have a different platform, that we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook. Reach out to us and, hey, let's keep this thing going. Let's keep the movement going. Because we know that the left wants to silence our voices, and we want to keep it out there because this is about democracy and freedom. And democracy does die in the dark. And right now, we're in the dark with the right. We are definitely in the dark. So.
Absolutely. Check out the website, MagaMedia.org. Check out Ray's website, raypoetryworld.com. You can order one of his great books from that website. Also, special shout out to Pilled.net for once again carrying our show tonight. Great free speech platform. I recommend people go ahead and go to Pilled.net and sign up. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Andrew.
We'll see you on Thursday.